Hey everyone, I figured I'd make a video based on everyone's feedback, and a few people had asked to see how it works. So I'll just go through a quick rundown of how it's assembled and how it functions basically. So to start, you guys probably saw originally I had a similar rendition to this, only it was mounted on a block of wood, and I used just some metal strapping just to make a semi-bearing setup. But it was a little bit more friction than I liked for rotating, so I modified it a little bit better to make it with just off-the-shelf parts. So you don't have to do any sort of grinding or any sort of weird hose clamps is how I had on the last one. And this one lines up a little bit better. The hook axis lines up pretty well with the bearing axis. So basically what I did was I started with these Harbor Freight vice grips that I liked. And I found that the adjustment knob for adjusting the width of the vice grips was 1/4 20. And I found that if you used, I guess they're T-nut inserts for wood, what you normally hammer into wood, but they have a conical face, so that allows you to line up. If you put them on both sides of a T-flange, or yeah, on a T segment of pipe, it allows you to line up that threaded rod that I have running all the way through to the vice grips. And then on the end of there, I just added this wing nut for easily adjusting the gap, and then an additional wing nut to lock it in place so that this can't rotate at all, which it probably won't anyway, but it was just me being OCD. So basically, yeah, that's the vice grip assembly. I believe these are all 3/8 pipes. Yeah. And they run up to this additional T, which has a threaded rod that runs all the way through. Again, that threaded rod I believe is 5/16, which I found is basically the right diameter to use for skateboard bearings, which I had an extra wheel in my garage, so I just took the bearings out of the wheel and I pressed them into this PVC T, which is I believe is a 1/2 inch. And it just so happens that if you put them in your vise and you squeeze hard enough, they go in pretty well. So inside of this T there's a bearing on this side and a bearing on this side. And I made this washer assembly. These are fender washers and then a rubber washer. And then again on this side it's a rubber washer and another fender washer. And then on the very end, let me see if I can rotate this so you can see, I have a nylon washer. And then basically how this works is I adjust this wing nut to adjust the friction on the whole system, and that can basically, if I loosen it, it rotates easier. If I tighten it, it puts more friction on the nylon washer, and then I'm able to rotate it and hold it in position if I want, so it'll stay up however I want to hold it. It rotates fully around, obviously. Works fairly well. Someone had mentioned a while ago if I should add, I could add maybe an arm on the end, so you could turn it from that end and then rotate it. Right now I've just been doing it like this. It seems to be working fine. The hook lines up fairly well. I mean, you can see it running across. It's not the greatest, but then again, this is made out of pipe and Home Depot's hardware. So, is it cost effective to buying a rotating vise? I don't know. It probably costs. It's probably like $30 to $40 in PVC and pipe and galvanized pipe, but and does it work as good? It works for me. I like it. It works pretty well. But yeah, if anyone's more curious about the lengths and everything, I can go through how I did it and all the lengths, and you can size it this way, or I'd probably, if I did it again, I might try and find a smaller pair of vice grips and size everything down, one scale basically, and see what line up with, what size bolt the smaller pair of pliers would use, and then size all of the fittings relative. But, it works. It's cool. So I appreciate all the good feedback. If anyone's curious about that or whatever, just shoot me a few comments and I'll see if I can make like a quick PowerPoint with all the sizes and everything. Thanks.